Hello and welcome back. So today I'm going to be talking to you about this new Nikon sensor. And isn't this exciting news for all us Nikon shooters? I've been anxiously awaiting this development and the new features it could bring to Nikon cameras in the future. Now, as you all know, Nikon bought Red recently, and Red have some absolutely amazing sensors in their cameras. So it was kind of only a matter of time before we saw some kind of a development from this partnership, I would have thought. Now, where exactly it came from, we don't know as of yet. But what we are seeing is Nikon have patented a dual voltage sensor. I'm going to get into more specifics of that in a minute and tell you how this could change everything. So come on, let's get into it and I'll talk you through it. Now, over the last few years, Nikon has used Sony sensors in a lot of their cameras, which they've kind of modified to their own requirements, and they've used them in the likes of the Nikon Z8 and the Z9, for example. But this news could see all that in now. As of yet, Nikon hasn't confirmed anything really about the sensor apart from the information that was in the patent, which was registered recently. Now, this new dual voltage system is set to operate on sort of a segmented or zoned system in the sensor itself. And this leads to the information from the pixels being able to be outputted faster as there is less traffic, as there are more zones, rather than just having it all in one output. It's a simple thing. It's a bit like if you have a bucket of water and if you have one hole in the bottom of it, you can see that water is flowing out at a steady rate. The bucket is going to empty at a specific amount of time. What Nikon have done is they've put a whole lot of holes in that bucket, so the information or that actual the data or the image can get out of the bucket faster. So that is going to be huge. This system is said to be far more efficient at transporting the image from the sensor to the amplifiers and analog to digital converters, or output stages if you want to call them that. This efficiency has a few massive side effects then. The first being far higher data transfer rates, and the second being a cleaner image coming off the sensor. This all basically means that it can give faster readout rates and more data. So if you think about it, more data, so more raw data, which is going to be incredibly important for photographers and videographers going forward. So why is that, and what is it going to do for us? Well, for videographers, it means we will possibly be able to capture very high resolution footage at high frames per second due to the super quick readout rates on the sensor with no rolling shutter. The higher efficiency then, I'm told, will give cleaner signals and less noise, so that means higher ISO performance is rumoured to be better, and this will also help with dynamic range too as well, again, I'm told. So for videographers, this is huge. And with Nikon now also making serious inroads with its Z series lenses for the cinematography and videography market, this could be a massive step forward for them. In all honesty, if they keep going at this rate, they will not only be up there with the very best in the business, but they could actually take over the title completely, especially with the new advances in their autofocus and the continual improvements there via firmware updates that should be hitting the Z8 and the Z9 soon, I'm told. For photographers, it could mean three things then. The first being higher resolution sensors. As with this faster processing, there'll be no problem dumping all that information from the sensor onto the camera. So that's going to be great. Then again, as a result of that higher data transfer rate, we'll be able to see faster burst rates. And yes, I do mean insanely fast burst rates. Looking at 30 frames per second now, that could very well seem so very slow in a couple of years if this sensor comes to the market. Now, I have to say, but I'm hearing it's more of a case of when rather than if. High ISO performance improving then due to the sensor efficiency. And just think about it, you're going to have a higher resolution sensor with higher performing ISOs, or better performing high ISOs if we put it that way. Like, how nuts is that going to be? Then you think of increased dynamic range due to the efficiency of the sensor yet again, which is going to be great for those sunset shots where you have a dark foreground before you and you are firing straight into the sun. So you have a massive contrast or massive dynamic range in the image. Being able to handle all that in one shot absolutely perfectly is going to be amazing. The Z8 and the Z9 already do a really good job of it, but could we see a higher dynamic range again coming out of these sensors very soon? So our cameras will have no mechanical shutter like the Z8 and Z9, and also suffer from no rolling shutter as a result of the incredibly fast readout speeds. Now, this is the interesting part. The elephant in the room here is just sitting there quietly and saying nothing in the corner. Even though there's been no mention of it as of yet, this also opens the door for a global shutter hitting a Nikon camera soon. How utterly amazing would that be? No more flash limitations with sync speeds of 1/200 of a second and having to go into high-speed sync and whatever else. That would just be a distant memory then. Just think how that would transform an awful lot of work, with us no longer having to rely on high-speed sync, which is amazing. Do not get me wrong, I absolutely love high-speed sync and I couldn't live without it. But high-speed sync does limit the output of your flash and sort of pulses, rather than bursts. So when you're shooting in a bright outdoor scene, trying to battle direct harsh sunlight, global shutter is going to be incredible. Couple that then with increased dynamic range, higher ISO performance and higher resolution. That's something I just can't wait for. Thanks again for watching, and Nikon, do put one of those cameras on hold for me. See you out there, or see you in the next video, everyone.